One single city, smaller than Manhattan, makes more gambling money than the next 10 gambling destinations on Earth combined. Not Vegas, not Monaco, not Macau's casinos. One specific strip of land inside Macau that didn't exist 25 years ago because it was sitting at the bottom of the South China Sea. Engineers pulled it up from the ocean floor, compacted it, and handed it to the most aggressive builders on the planet. What they constructed on top of that invented land includes a hotel finished by a dead woman, a Ferris wheel rotating between two separate skyscrapers, and a building so large that brand new employees are handed maps on their first day because people genuinely get lost inside it and can't find the exit. Join us and let's discover how China built a casino megacity 10 times bigger than Vegas on land that was literally pulled up from the bottom of the ocean. Let's go.
Number 13. The Venetian Macau. Here's where the insanity begins. Las Vegas Sands looked at an empty stretch of ocean between two small Chinese islands in 2004 and decided to build the single largest casino building on planet Earth on top of it. $2.4 billion, 980,000 square meters of total floor space. A structure so enormous, it ranks as the 7th largest building in the world by usable area. To give you a sense of scale, if you took every hotel, every casino, every shopping mall on the entire Las Vegas Strip and stacked their floor space together, the Venetian Macau would still compete. But before a single floor could go up, engineers had to solve a problem that had never been solved at this scale before. The Cotai Strip, the land this building sits on, is entirely reclaimed from the ocean. Workers pumped 30 million cubic meters of sand and sediment up from the seabed, compacted it layer by layer, chemically stabilized it, and then drove 40,000 individual concrete piles deep into the ocean floor beneath it. 40,000 piles. That's roughly one pile every 25 square meters across the entire footprint, just to create a foundation stable enough to build on. Then came the interior. 200 artists working simultaneously for 18 straight months, hand-painting fresco across acres of ceiling to recreate the open sky above Venice. 3 indoor canals, each over 300 meters long, filled with real recirculating water. 39 gondolas with structural docking systems engineered for continuous daily operation. Gondoliers who actually sing while rowing guests through a shopping mall where you genuinely cannot tell if it's day or night outside because there are no windows. The climate control system manages 50 separate HVAC zones simultaneously: casino floor, canal humidity, shopping corridors, restaurants, and hotel towers, all maintained at different temperatures and moisture levels at the same time. 3,000 suites, not rooms, suites, minimum 70 square meters each. Annual gaming revenue alone, $5.4 billion, and that number doesn't include retail, dining, entertainment, or hotel income. New staff are given maps on day one. They need them.
Number 12. Galaxy Macau. If the Venetian defined scale, Galaxy Macau made scale look modest. $5.9 billion, 50 million square feet, 5 separate luxury hotel brands operating simultaneously under a single connected roof, and one central question that drove every architectural decision. What if guests never needed to leave? Not just didn't want to, genuinely didn't need to. 5 architecture teams were coordinated simultaneously: Galaxy Hotel, Banyan Tree, Okura, Ritz-Carlton, and JW Marriott, producing 4,000 rooms across interconnected towers. But the rooms were almost beside the point. They built the world's largest wave pool, 575,000 liters of water with pneumatic wave generators buried beneath the pool floor, producing 1.5-meter waves on demand, bigger than most natural beach breaks you'd find at an actual ocean. The engineering firm Whitewater West Industries had to design compressed air chambers that could generate surfable waves without creating dangerous undercurrents or structurally compromising the pool floor below. Think about what that means. A man-made ocean inside a building, generating waves larger than most beaches, surrounded by a casino. Then came the lazy river, 2,200 meters of winding water feature running through an artificial beach constructed from 350,000 tons of filtered white sand. The current generation system had to maintain perfectly consistent flow rates for thousands of simultaneously floating inner tubes without creating a single dead zone or bottleneck. Construction happened in 2 overlapping phases from 2008 to 2015. They were actively adding entire hotel towers while guests gambled on the floors directly below the construction. The lobby ceiling is embedded with real diamonds. There are 120 restaurants inside. You could eat at a different one every day for 4 months without repeating a single meal. Total floor area, 1.1 million square meters. To visualize that, bigger than 120 football fields. You could fit the entire Las Vegas Strip inside Galaxy Macau's footprint and still have room left over. Annual revenue, $6.8 billion. The highest grossing resort in Macau. The highest grossing resort on planet Earth.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this.
Number 11. Wynn Macau. Steve Wynn didn't arrive in Macau to experiment with new ideas. He arrived to execute a formula he'd spent 40 years perfecting in Las Vegas. A formula built on one core psychological principle: overwhelm every single human sense simultaneously until guests lose all concept of time and stop thinking about leaving. His in-house design team built a curved tower wrapped in gold-infused glass. Not gold-colored, not gold-tinted, actual 24-karat gold particles physically embedded inside the glazing during manufacturing. At sunset, the building glows like a structure from a fever dream. And buried inside that extravagance is a piece of engineering genius. That gold glass reduces solar heat gain by 60%, saving millions of dollars annually in cooling costs. Pure visual excess that secretly pays for itself every single year. The performance lake came next. Wynn hired Wet Design, the firm behind the Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas, and told them to build something better. What they delivered was 200 robotic fountains dancing in precise choreography, synchronized with music, shooting jets of fire that safely operate within meters of water sprays, all managed by a real-time control system running thousands of simultaneous commands per second. Then Steve Wynn's obsession with detail went somewhere that still seems impossible to believe. His longtime design collaborator, Roger Thomas, spent $8 million on research and development for the carpet patterns alone. $8 million for carpet. The floral sculpture program costs $17 million every single year just to rotate living flower installations through the property. Massive arrangements of fresh flowers replaced constantly, designed so that every guest's first impression of the lobby is always, without exception, perfect. 1,008 rooms and suites, $1.2 billion in total construction costs. Peak annual revenue, $3.7 billion. Wynn didn't build a casino. He built a sensory trap disguised as a palace.
Number 10. Grand Lisboa. Stanley Ho had built Macau's gambling empire from the ground up. For decades, every single bet placed in Macau went through his monopoly. Then the government broke that monopoly in 2002 and handed licenses to American casino giants with unlimited budgets and global ambition. Ho watched them arrive for 5 years. In 2008, he responded. He hired Dennis Lau and Eng Chun Man, the same firm behind MGM Macau, and gave them one instruction: build something nobody in Macau can physically avoid looking at. What they delivered was a 261-meter lotus flower wrapped in gold and over 1 million individual LED lights. The design wasn't subtle because subtlety wasn't the message. The Grand Lisboa was deliberately engineered to stand taller than Hong Kong's Bank of China Tower. This was Stanley Ho erecting a monument to himself in plain sight of every competitor who'd arrived thinking they could take his city. The engineering required to make that lotus shape actually stand up was genuinely insane. The building's petals aren't decorative elements attached to a conventional structure. They are the structure,
a load-bearing exoskeleton carrying the entire weight of the building, while the interior stays completely column-free. Each floor was cantilevered outward as the building rose, every level slightly larger than the one below, creating that blooming effect. To support that kind of outward load, they drove the foundation 60 meters into solid granite bedrock. That's the equivalent of a 20-story building going straight down before the first floor goes up. Over 1 million LEDs on those pedals, each individually controlled, each requiring its own power supply, cooling system, and physical access for replacement. The full-time facade maintenance team numbers 30 people. In the lobby, a 218-carat pink diamond worth over $10 million. Not in a vault, as a decoration. The chandelier above it weighs 1,000 tons, suspended using counterweight engineering borrowed from bridge construction. It weighs as much as 7 Boeing 737s, hanging from a ceiling. Annual revenue, $4.1 billion, the highest revenue per room ratio in all of Macau.
Number 9. MGM Cotai. MGM's first Macau property proved that intimate luxury was spectacularly profitable. So they came back with $3.4 billion and a completely different question. What happens when you make something so visually striking that it permanently changes a city's skyline? They hired Kohn Pedersen Fox, the architecture firm behind Shanghai's World Financial Center and Hong Kong's International Commerce Center, and gave them a brief with zero compromise: create Macau's new defining landmark. KPF delivered 3 towers wrapped in gold-tinted glass, arranged so that when viewed from above, they form a sculptural crown. At night, with precision-programmed lighting, the entire complex glows like a gemstone sitting on the Cotai Strip. They called it the Jewelry Box. Inside, MGM brought in Stufish Entertainment Architects, the team that designs stadium stages for world concert tours, to build a spectacle theater unlike anything that existed. What Stufish delivered was a 16-meter diameter rotating stage capable of completely transforming its entire physical configuration in 90 seconds flat. Hydraulic platforms rising and dropping, walls appearing from nowhere and vanishing just as fast. The precision tolerances for the rotation system, 0.5 millimeter. Half. They borrowed aerospace engineering mathematics just to make the rotation operate without producing perceptible vibration. Then they placed a garden on the roof at level 20. Not a decorative garden, 150 tons of soil, mature trees, and functioning water features, all sitting on structural reinforcements simultaneously engineered to resist typhoon wind loads and seismic stress. The art collection fills the building, $300 million worth. Salvador Dalí sculptures, Andy Warhol prints, contemporary Chinese installations. That collection alone is worth more than the entire permanent holdings of most national museums on Earth. 4 years of construction, 1,400 rooms. Annual revenue, $3.2 billion.
Number 8. The Parisian Macau. Las Vegas Sands built the Venetian and conquered Italy. Their logical next move was to conquer France. $2.7 billion. 4 years of construction from 2012 to 2016. And at the center of the entire project, a half-scale replica of the Eiffel Tower, 162 meters tall, standing in the middle of a Chinese casino resort. But this is where the project crosses from ambitious into genuinely audacious. They didn't build a tower that merely resembles the Eiffel Tower. They contacted the descendants of Gustave Eiffel's original engineering firm and obtained his exact design specifications. Same rivet patterns, same structural geometry, same visual proportions, and built it to match the Paris original down to details invisible to the naked eye. 6,600 tons of structural steel. The Paris original stands on solid limestone bedrock that's been stable for centuries. The Parisian Macau sits on reclaimed sand that was ocean floor within living memory. The engineering team had to completely reinvent the foundation system while keeping the tower's exterior appearance absolutely identical to the source. They drove 120 reinforced concrete piles 25 meters deep, creating an artificial bedrock platform strong enough to support 6,600 swaying tons of steel during a typhoon. And typhoons were the crisis that almost broke the project. The original Paris Tower was designed for winds up to 120 kilometers per hour. Macau receives typhoons regularly pushing 220. Every single joint, every weld, every stress connection in the entire structure had to be recalculated from scratch and reinforced while maintaining total visual authenticity to a 19th century French original. The cost per ton of steel, $45,000. Standard structural steel runs $3,000 per ton. Then they wrapped 6,600 LED lights around it for nightly synchronized shows. The observation deck draws over 2 million visitors annually. And the sheer cultural boldness, building France's national symbol inside a Chinese casino, is the kind of move that defines an era.
Number 7. The Cotai Strip origin. Here is the fact that reframes everything you've seen so far. Every single casino on this list, every record broken, every billion spent, every engineering miracle engineered, sits on land that did not exist 30 years ago. The Cotai Strip is the stretch of territory connecting Macau's islands of Taipa and Koloan. In the 1990s, it was open ocean. Fishermen sailed across it. There was nothing there but salt water and the shadow of a political decision that hadn't been made yet. Chinese engineers and government planners looked at that water and decided to manufacture new land. They deployed fleets of dredging vessels to pump tens of millions of cubic meters of sand and sediment up from the seabed. They deposited it in layers, compacted each layer under pressure, treated it chemically to accelerate stabilization, and then repeated the process until the ocean floor became solid ground. Then they handed that invented land to the most aggressive casino developers on Earth and opened the bidding. What makes this the most important fact in Macau's entire story is the political clock running underneath it. Under the One Country, Two Systems agreement, Macau's special status, including its right to operate casinos, is guaranteed only until 2049. Every developer who bought land on the Cotai Strip knew, going in, that they were building on a political deadline. That knowledge created a specific kind of urgency that explains why construction timelines in Macau are consistently 30 to 40% faster than comparable projects in Las Vegas or Singapore. When the clock is visible, people move differently. They pulled land up from the bottom of the South China Sea, set a timer, and told the world's best architects to build as fast as physically possible.
Number 6. Studio City, Macau. In 2015, Melco Crown Entertainment looked at Macau's arms race and asked the question nobody else had dared to ask. What if we stopped building primarily for gamblers? What if we built something that pulled in people who would never touch a baccarat table? Families, millennials, tourists who came for the experience and stayed for the spectacle. They hired the Goddard Group out of Las Vegas, the firm behind Planet Hollywood, and gave them a directive with no ceiling. Build a casino that feels like you walked onto a movie set. Art Deco meets 1930s Chinese cinema. Golden era Hollywood transported physically to the Cotai Strip. But the true centerpiece of Studio City was something no engineering firm had attempted before at this scale. The Golden Reel, a Ferris wheel rotating in a figure-8 pattern between two separate skyscraper towers, 100 meters in the air. 23 steampunk-themed gondolas, each gondola weighing 8,000 kilograms fully loaded, rotating continuously in a figure-8 loop suspended between two buildings that move independently in wind and shift independently during earthquakes. The engineering firm Burrow Happold faced a problem with no existing solution manual. How do you rigidly connect a rotating mechanical system to two structures that are each moving independently at different rates in different directions simultaneously? The answer required 3,000 tons of structural steel in a cable stay configuration and supercomputer stress modeling calculating load distribution across every single joint in real time. That wheel cost $150 million on its own. Then Melco added a Warner Bros. Partnership, a Batman Dark Flight 4D experience, a Pacha nightclub, and Magic Mike Live. Annual revenue hit $1.9 billion. Not the highest on this list, but the strategy proved something that permanently changed Macau's direction. Entertainment could be just as profitable as gambling.
Number 5. MGM Macau. Before the mega resort swallowed the Cotai Strip whole, before the wave pools and the rotating stages and the figure-8 Ferris wheels, there was MGM Macau,
the property that proved the American casino model could work in a former Portuguese colony and set the financial template every developer after them would try to beat. MGM walked in with $1.25 billion and something their competitors initially underestimated: genuine respect for where they were building. The architecture firm Dennis Lau and Ng Chun Man designed a three-wave glass facade that caught light the way the South China Sea does at dawn. The entire design language referenced Macau's maritime history: Portuguese explorers, trading ships, the age of discovery. This wasn't Las Vegas aesthetics copy-pasted on Chinese soil. At the heart of the building sat the Praça Grande, a three-story atrium with a hand-painted ceiling 25 meters high, designed to evoke standing under the open sky above Lisbon. But the engineering challenge underneath all that beauty was severe. MGM was building a 35-story tower on reclaimed waterfront land, essentially compressed sand and silt sitting above a seabed. To anchor that kind of vertical load, construction crews drove foundation piles 40 meters straight down until steel hit actual bedrock. That's as deep as a 13-story building is tall, going downward before the first floor goes up. The glass curtain walls were triple glazed and rated to survive typhoon winds at 250 kilometers per hour. The wave ceiling ran over 1,000 individually programmable LED panels. 3 years of construction, 600 rooms, 23,000 square meters of gaming floor. When MGM Macau opened in 2007, it generated $2.8 billion in its first full year of operation. They spent $1.25 billion and recovered the entire investment in under 2 years. The gold rush had its proof of concept.
Number 4. Morpheus Hotel. In 2016, the world lost Zaha Hadid, the architect who spent her entire career designing buildings that looked like they were actively rebelling against the laws of physics. She died before her final major commission was complete. 2 years later, Macau unveiled what she left behind. Morpheus Hotel doesn't look like a building. It looks like someone took a solid rectangular block of steel and glass, 40 stories tall, and carved 3 massive voids clean through it, using nothing but wind and water as tools. 3 enormous rectangular holes punched straight through the structure. No internal columns, no support beams interrupting the open space inside those voids. Pure, flowing geometry inspired by the curved hollows of Chinese jade carvings, realized at the scale of a skyscraper. The engineering firm Ove Arup faced a structural problem that had no precedent. To even understand whether Hadid's design was physically buildable, they ran finite element analysis, breaking the entire structure mathematically into millions of individual points and calculating the precise stress load acting on every single one simultaneously. The result: 12,000 tons of structural steel. But here's what makes that number staggering beyond the weight itself. Every single piece of that steel is uniquely shaped. 28 different component types, each one curved at a specific angle, each one load-bearing in a way that is unrepeatable anywhere else in the structure. Those components were manufactured across 6 different countries and shipped to Macau for final assembly. The tolerances were millimeter precise. One piece misaligned by 5 millimeters and the entire exoskeleton would not fit together. Engineers also had to account for Macau's humidity expanding the metal daily, temperature fluctuations throughout the day altering dimensions, and the building gradually settling into reclaimed land over years, all while maintaining those millimeter tolerances permanently. 4.5 years of construction, 770 rooms, every single one asymmetric and uniquely shaped. $1.1 billion for the hotel alone. It withstands Category 5 typhoons and earthquakes to 7.0 magnitude, and it became the most photographed building in Macau's history. Zaha Hadid never saw it standing, but it will stand for generations.
Number 3. The Macau Monopoly Break. Everything. Every casino on this list. Every billion spent. Every engineering record broken. Traces back to a single decision made in 2002 that unleashed one of the most extraordinary economic chain reactions in modern history. For decades before that year, one man controlled every casino in Macau. Stanley Ho held a complete, total, legally protected monopoly. Every bet placed in Macau, every chip that hit a table, every card that was shuffled, it all flowed through his empire exclusively. no competition, no bidding wars, no reason to build anything spectacular, because there was nowhere else for gamblers to go. Then the Macau government made a radical decision. They broke the monopoly and auctioned off 6 casino licenses to open competition. What followed was a gold rush that moved faster than anyone had predicted. Las Vegas Sands arrived, MGM arrived, Wynn Resorts arrived. The biggest names in American gambling showed up with architects and checkbooks and a very clear understanding of the math they were looking at. Macau sat 1 hour by ferry from Hong Kong. It had direct flights from every major Chinese city, and it was the only legal gambling destination within reach of over 1 billion people who had 0 other lawful options. Mainland China bans gambling completely. 1 billion potential customers with no legal alternative. Think about what that means in pure economic terms. It's like opening the only pharmacy in a city of 1 million people and making it the only place anyone can legally buy medicine. The average Macau high roller bet 10 times more per session than their Las Vegas equivalent. The revenue projections weren't just attractive, they were almost too large to believe. Between 2004 and 2019, over $30 billion in casino construction was deployed into a territory smaller than Manhattan. That single 2002 decision, one government auction, triggered every number on this list.
Now step fully outside the individual buildings and look at what the combined picture actually means, because the aggregate numbers operate at a scale that stops feeling real without comparison. At its peak in 2013, Macau generated $45 billion in annual gambling revenue. Las Vegas, the city that defined global gambling culture for 80 years, the city that invented the modern casino resort, the city whose name is literally synonymous with gambling, generates approximately $6 billion from its strip annually. Macau makes 7 times more, from a territory of 32 square kilometers, much of it reclaimed from the ocean within the last 2 decades. Here's how to feel that number in your body. If you stacked $45 billion in $100 bills, the stack would be 49 kilometers high. The International Space Station orbits at 408 kilometers. You'd be more than 10% of the way there. Galaxy Macau's annual revenue of $6.8 billion exceeds the entire GDP of over 50 sovereign countries. The Venetian Macau processes more money on a single peak weekend than some national governments collect in a month. The MGM Coté art collection, $300 million worth of Dali, Warhol, and contemporary Chinese masters, is worth more than the complete permanent holdings of most national museums. And the engineering innovations generated by the pressure of building in Macau have since gone global. Typhoon-resistant curtain wall systems developed for Macau casinos now protect skyscrapers across Southeast Asia. Construction methodologies for building stable structures on reclaimed land, pioneered here under financial pressure, have been adopted for coastal development projects worldwide. Climate control systems managing 50-plus simultaneous environments, first fully realized in the Venetian Macau, influenced the design of large-scale data centers globally. They didn't just build casinos, they accidentally ran the world's most expensive engineering laboratory.
Number 1. The 442-year setup. Here is the fact that makes everything else on this list feel inevitable. For 442 years, Macau was a sleepy Portuguese colony where fishermen hauled nets, spice traders argued over prices, and the biggest architectural ambition was a church on a hill. 442 years. Then, 1999 happened. China took Macau back in a formal handover, and embedded inside that handover, inside the legal framework of one country, two systems, was an accidental loophole so financially explosive that it would trigger the largest casino construction boom in human history. Mainland China bans gambling completely. No casinos, no legal sports betting, no card tables. Over 1 billion people with zero lawful way to place a single bet anywhere in the country. Macau, under the One Country, Two Systems agreement, got to keep its casinos. Just like that, without anyone fully grasping the consequence in real time, Macau became the only legal gambling zone within reach of the largest population of potential gamblers on planet Earth. 1 billion people.
One legal destination. A ferry ride away from Hong Kong. Direct flights from every major Chinese city. What happened next wasn't just a construction boom, it was a controlled detonation of capital. Between 2004 and 2019, developers poured over $30 billion in construction into a territory smaller than Manhattan, most of it on land that was pulled up from the ocean floor specifically to hold it. The buildings they built broke records that had stood for decades. The revenues they generated exceeded the GDPs of entire nations. The engineering problems they solved became global industry standards. And underneath all of it, underneath every billion spent, every record broken, every engineering miracle, was a simple, almost accidental truth. One political handover in 1999 created a monopoly on legal gambling for the world's largest population. Everything else was just the inevitable consequence of that one fact colliding with unlimited ambition. The most profitable real estate on planet Earth wasn't discovered, it wasn't inherited, it was manufactured, literally and legally, from nothing.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.